Bible John, a name that still strikes fear into the heart of Glasgow, Scotland, refers to an unidentified serial slayer linked to the deaths of three women in the late 1960s. The moniker originates from the killer's alleged quoting of the Bible during his encounters with victims, leading to a media frenzy and a manhunt. The only link between the slayings was a nightclub called the Barrowland Ballroom, and the description of a well-spoken, smartly dressed man given by witnesses. Patricia Docker, a 25-year-old nursing auxiliary, was the first victim, last seen alive on February 23, 1968. Her body was discovered the following morning, not far from her home, hidden from view. She had met her end by way of strangling. The second victim, Jemima McDonald, a 32-year-old mother of three, met a similar fate after a night at the Barrowland on August 16, 1969. Her disappearance sparked rumors among the local community, leading to the grim discovery of her body in an abandoned building. Like Patricia, Jemima had been strangled. The final known victim, Helen Putock, also 29, attended the Barrowland Ballroom on October 31, 1969. Helen's body was found the next day in the backyard of her apartment. The witness account from her sister, who had shared a taxi with Helen and the mysterious man, provided the most detailed description of the suspect, who would come to be known as Bible John. Over the years, several suspects have been considered, with one of the most notable being Peter Tobin. Tobin, a convicted serial killer, came into focus due to similarities between his known crimes and the Bible John slayings. Further, he allegedly had a presence in Glasgow at the time of the killings, and does bear a resemblance to the composite sketches of the suspect. However, conclusive evidence linking Tobin to the Bible John slayings has never been found, and may never be, due to improper storage of DNA evidence from the slayings. Further, the police no longer consider him a suspect, and have since come to have doubts that he actually lived in Glasgow at the time of the slayings. This is largely due to evidence of Tobin's wife, who has cooperated with police in relation to Tobin's crimes, and denied his presence there at the time. Numerous other suspects have been considered, but all major candidates for Bible John have been cleared by the authorities. In 2021, an aged-up composite sketch of Bible John was released. If he is still alive, Bible John is believed to be in his 80s, so there is still hope that this monster will face justice. The Doodler. In the mid-1970s, San Francisco was gripped by the terror of an elusive figure known only as the Doodler. This unidentified serial killer, believed responsible for the deaths of between 6 and 16 men, carved a dark niche in the city's history. 3 men also survived the assaults by the Doodler, with these 3 men likely the key to resolving this mystery. Between January 1974 and September 1975, the Doodler targeted gay men in San Francisco, exploiting the era's vibrant nightlife to find his victims. His modus operandi was unique and disturbing. He would sketch his victims before brutally stabbing them to death. This habit earned him the moniker, the Doodler, a name that belies the horror of his crimes. The Doodler's identity has remained a mystery, partly due to the societal attitudes of the time. In the 1970s, the gay community in San Francisco was burgeoning, yet it remained marginalized and stigmatized, complicating the investigation. Victims and potential witnesses, wary of police indifference or outright hostility, were often reluctant to come forward. This reluctance was compounded by the fear of being outed during a period when doing so could have severe personal and professional repercussions. Investigators, however, have not been completely without leads and strongly suspected a certain suspect and appear to have been able to conclusively identify him based upon the 3 survivors. However, there's a significant and unfortunate catch. These men were in the closet, and at least two of them were prominent individuals. One of the individuals is described as a diplomat, while the other as a famous entertainer. Identifying the man and giving evidence would, of course, leave them susceptible to cross-examination by defense counsel, which would, with near necessity, involve them being outed in an unaccepting time. The Doodler was a young man during the period of the slayings, with police estimating him being in his late teens to mid-20s at the latest. Given that the Doodler committed his heinous and hate-filled acts between 1974 and 1975, if alive, he is in his late 60s to mid-70s today. If you're enjoying my content, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, if you want to take it to the next level, consider Patreon or a YouTube membership. The Frankford Slasher. The Frankford Slasher's case, running from 1985 to 1990 in the Frankford neighborhood of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, remains a largely unsolved serial slaying. This period saw the tragic end of 8 to 9 individuals, all of whom suffered a violent demise. Leonard Christopher, who was convicted for one of these crimes, has been a central figure in discussions, though he's been dubbed a copycat killer by police. The victims shared certain characteristics. They were women living on the societal margins, many with backgrounds of mental health issues or substance dependency. The investigation revealed a pattern of assault and a methodical manner in which the victims were left. Most of the victims frequented Goldie's Bar, a local establishment, which emerged as a critical link in understanding the perpetrator's hunting ground. This bar was a noted hangout for women who engaged in the practice of paid companionship, so the full nature of the connection to the bar is unknown. Police efforts to solve the case were marred by controversy and criticism, with some accusing the police of attempting to sweep the slayings under the rug. Early on, there was hesitation in linking the crimes, and when connections were finally acknowledged, the focus on Leonard Christopher drew scrutiny. The reason for this scrutiny was simple. Christopher was black, and all evidence pointed toward the slayer being a white middle-aged male. By this point in the video, you've seen 3 composite sketches, and I hope you too are comfortable in saying the composite sketches definitely depict a white male. Despite the conviction of Christopher for one slaying, it is now widely believed that the real perpetrator remained at large. Given the socioeconomic status of the victims and the lack of attention on this case, unfortunately I have my doubts as to whether this will ever be solved. Unfortunately, this is the reason serial slayers seem to target women at the bottom of this industry. These predators know that many people engaging in paid companionship on the street level will have no one to advocate for them when they're gone. Further, they know that the police will, with a great degree of certainty, not allocate appropriate resources to the case. The Pharmacy Maniac. In 2011, Chelyabinsk, Russia, became the backdrop for a chilling series of crimes by an individual dubbed the Pharmacy Maniac. This unidentified assailant targeted 2 pharmacies within the city, leading to the loss of 2 lives under harrowing circumstances. The first incident occurred in May, inside a pharmacy where the perpetrator, masked and armed, demanded money from the people present. This incident resulted in the ending of a 49-year-old man named Vladimir Shin, who had walked in to purchase medicine. A few months later, in August, a second attack unfolded in a similar fashion, claiming the life of 30-year-old Igor Ustinov. This time, the attacker shot Ustinov upon entering, and after a brief exit to reload his weapon, returned to ensure Ustinov was deceased. The killer's modus operandi involved the use of a sawn-off shotgun and attacks exclusively on Classic brand pharmacies, a popular chain in Russia. Witnesses described the assailant as extremely unusual in appearance and odd in demeanor. Further, adding to the mystery, he used Russian phrases generally used by American soldiers in Russian films. Despite intensive investigations, which included the distribution of a facial composite and a large financial reward for information leading to his capture, the pharmacy maniac remains at large. The perpetrator's motive remains unknown, though he did engage in robberies. However, the robberies were for nominal sums of money, suggesting that robbery was not the primary motive behind the slayings.